So it looks like it was unanimous that that's a great flavor.
That is good, isn't it? That is good. And easy. Really simple to make.
Super easy.
Dylan, what did you think?
Yeah, it's like you have a shot. Shot.
I
Well,
have
you
a
can
question.
have. I have
Yes.
another bottle. You can have a shot.
Yes.
If you forget, then you overdo it, will it like, what's going to happen?
The machine has sensors in it that tell it that it's getting too thick, and it will shut itself down. You should not have that problem. I always tell people when you're going to make ice cream, you say, okay, for the next 3 hours, I'm going to make ice cream. Don't bother me. So you shouldn't be making ice cream and serving customers at the same time, because you're going to get someone like me who wants to talk. And I'm going to talk your head off for 10 minutes and you've forgotten about your ice cream. You come back and your machine is frozen up. If that's the case, you then make sure the switches are off, you open the door, and you have to take that stiff, overdone ice cream out. It's still good. You can still sell it, but it's too stiff to come out of the machine. You have to start over. And then since you open the door, you put everything back in. It's an empty barrel. You have to re-sanitize because your hands were in there.
Hold it.
And now you're good to
Hold
restart.
Christi?
So the best rule is don't walk away from the machine. We have a timer built into, this is my invention, the infinite overrun control. It's exclusively mine. I invented it 23 years ago. It has a timer in it that you can look and see what the freezing time is. But I also like to have just a inexpensive kitchen timer. And so if I know my batch, I watch my wife Paula bake, and she says, okay, I'm baking a pie or a cake, and it takes 24 minutes. Well, she sets the timer for 22 minutes and then goes and checks the cake and see if it's ready. Oh, no, it's going to be another 5 minutes. She resets the timer. Set the timer for 8 or 9 minutes.
Some more?
The bell goes off nice and loud, because you're not just standing there like this, like we're doing today. You're getting your next batch of mix ready. You're getting your flavors ready. You're doing stuff. The bell goes off on your $12 timer. Oh, I got to check the machine. And you go back and you check to see if it's ready. So the whole idea of making ice cream is keep it as simple as possible. And when we design these machines and build them for 119 years, the underlying premise is make it incredibly rugged and make it incredibly simple. So that's what we've done. Yes?
Do all of the machines come with the touchscreen?
Do they all come with the touchscreen? All the, from the countertop here up to the 12, 24, 44, they all have the touchscreen. This one is the CB200. This doesn't have the touchscreen. We designed this for a wide range of products. This will make, it won't make homemade. It will make super premium, which is a heavier ice cream. It'll make gelato, which is even heavier, and it'll do all the water ice products, Italian ice, sorbet. So it'll do a lot of what this one does, but this is the most versatile machine on the market. Other machines, like the Cappigianis, are built for gelato. They can't do homemade ice cream, and they can't go, and we even go lower than they do on that. So the touchscreen is a wonderful invention. Christi, you want to say something?
No, I was waiting for you.
Was there another question? Yes.
Does it take the same amount of time no matter what ingredients you're using? Does it take different amounts of time for different ingredients?
Okay, good question. I'm going to repeat that. Does different ice creams take different times? Yes, vanilla we say about 8 minutes. If you're making strawberry, if you eat a strawberry, it's sweet. That means there's sugar in the strawberry. It naturally has sugar. If you're using chocolate chips, they're sweet. Anytime you add more sugar to your formula, the freezing time will be longer. So Italian ice has no dairy in it, or sorbet, or sorbetto, has no dairy in it, but it's very high in sugar. So where this machine is going to make vanilla ice cream in 8 minutes, it's going to take 13 minutes to make Italian ice, because of the higher sugar content. So you adjust for that, and you know that in advance from doing it before, that if I'm going to add something really fruity, like what do I make? I make lavender chocolate chip ice cream, and the lavender syrup is really got it's really sweet. It's got a lot of sugar in there. So that's going to take longer to freeze than with the vanilla. Should we go on to the next flavor?
Yep, sure. So if you guys aren't awake yet, you will be now. So we're going to do Death by Coffee Gelato. Here's the formula, so just take one and pass it down. Let me get the ingredients here. Everybody likes coffee, right?
Especially at this hour.
We're going to use Death Wish coffee. That's a cold brew. This is one of Steve's favorite companies, Death Wish coffee. It's the strongest coffee on earth. So we are doing caffeine, and then topping it off with more caffeine with espresso morsels. That is a thing, and they're very yummy. So we are going to start off with 3.5 quarts of mix.
People always ask me, how come I have such a high energy level? I don't know, maybe it's because of the Death Wish coffee that I eat all the time, drink all the time, and I have it all day long and all night long. It's just really wonderful.
And unlike Jeff, I don't, sit there and run it for 10 minutes and yak the entire time. So we're going to use instant coffee. So the reason why we use instant coffee instead of, granulated coffee that you would brew is because it's meant to be brewed. This dissolves very well in any type of ice cream. So whether you want to use caffeinated, decaf, you can use pretty much any brand. I personally at home use Publix brand. It works just as good as Nescafe, although it's Steve's favorite, Nescafe. So we're really going on the caffeine side. Now, how many ounces of the coffee do we need? What's it say?
6 ounces.
6 ounces. So we do that by volume, not by weight. So there's a lot of things that we do by volume and do by weight, and that's typically your own preference. But when it comes to this, 6 ounces of this by weight is a whole lot. So that's why we're going to do it by volume.
Some of my jokes are over 30 years old. Be careful when you're using the Taster's Choice that you don't get the 30-cent off coupon to go into the machine with it, because they stuff it inside the jar. See, it still works.
We don't have to fully dissolve the coffee granules at all. We're just going to get it in there, just kind of get it wet and get it inside the mix, and the machine's going to do the rest. And make sure your gate's closed. And of course, same rule, don't put it to the throat of the machine.
Taster's Choice is a very bitter coffee. I'm a coffee snob, that's why I drink Death Wish. But the Taster's Choice is quite bitter, but Christi's got a solution for counteracting that bitter that you'll see in a second.
When he means coffee snob, we had a whole meeting once about, don't give me Folgers. Okay. Now we are going to go ahead and hit homemade and start. We're going to go ahead and turn on the freeze button. I know this works because I've already done it. I've already tasted it.
Is there any difference in mixing that coffee in there versus pouring it in?
It's a granulated thing, so when you pour your mix in, your throat's going to be wet. So when you try to pour the granules in there, it's going to kind of stick to the inside of the throat. So I like to just mix it beforehand so it all goes in there instead of taking a spatula. And
So you could have put that in.
absolutely, no problem at all.
Everything can go in here. Whole bananas, nuts, cookies, the works. So the opening is very large. Everybody else has an opening like this. So everything's got to be pureed. We take whole bags of chocolate chip cookies and just dump them right in the machine. The beater is strong enough to do it, and the opening is large enough.
And this is the secret that you put in to get away from that bitterness of coffee. It's vanilla extract. It is Steve's favorite. Once again, I'm doing all your favorites today. What is up with that? It's made by Lockheed Vanilla. They make the best vanillas. Their information is also in your packet as well. If you call and ask for Steve's favorite vanilla, they're going to know exactly which one you're looking for, which is the flavor 103A. I'm going to pull a Jeff, not measured, just a splash. That's about it. Jeff does glug glug glugs. I don't.
He's not paying for it.
So
Au contraire. I pay for it, you don't.
Yeah.
the thing about adding inclusions is, some people ask, how do I keep my inclusions from going straight to the bottom? Well, I've already turned on my refrigeration. So instead of putting my chips or cookies or whichever you're looking for to put in M&Ms right into the machine soon as you start it, your mix is at a pure liquid form. Even though there is a dasher in there that's going to be spinning, it's still very liquidy, so your inclusions have a good chance of kind of dropping at that point. You're still going to get tons of great flavor. It's still going to mix well, incorporate beautifully, but for the best practice, it'd be wait a couple minutes, let it get a little bit thicker, then add your inclusions, which is what I'm going to do now.
And don't try this with any other batch freezer because they won't go in. They just won't get past that little opening.
All right.
That's everything.
That's everything. So we're going to probably take about 13, 14 minutes for this to freeze fully. Now, your very first batch of the day is going to take a little bit longer to freeze than your other batches after that. The reason is because your machine was warm, the cylinder was warm, it wasn't very cold. So your first batch will naturally take a little bit longer. So if you're trying to take notes or if you're trying to make, formulas for your ice cream makers to tell them how long it's going to take, use your second batch as your time frame. So your first batch, an example, this will take 13, 14 minutes. If I was to turn around and make this again, I'm probably looking at the 10-minute mark, 10 to maybe 12. So that also is a big factor too on your freeze times, like you were saying, different ingredients. Now, if you're working with extreme sugar, as Steve had mentioned before, I just realized I made that in homemade speed and not gelato. Just clicked.
You want to turn it down?
I can. So that's a good selling point right there. So anyways, you can turn down the IOC and you can make it go way slow. You hear it?
It's dropping in speed.
So we're going to turn it down, or you can also hit stop and then go back to and then pick gelato and then hit start again because the RPMs are already set for you. And then of course you have the ability to change your overrun just like I did there. Go ahead.
What makes this such an invention is if you're in your dining room and you've got 100-watt bulbs in your dining room and you've got the Thompsons coming over for dinner and you want to lower them down to 40 watts, you're stealing the power from the light bulb. It's no longer 100 watts, it's 40 watts. If you take that same, they call that a rheostat, we call it a light dimmer. You take that same light dimmer and put it on a machine, and now you've got on a bigger one a 3 horsepower motor, which is now dimmed down to only about 1.5 horses. It's not strong enough to pull through that whole big batch. With my invention, that 3 horsepower motor, no matter how much you dim it down, it's still a 3 horsepower motor. And nobody else has that. And that's why this is such an incredibly versatile machine. We can make any frozen dessert that's on the market or ever comes on the market. We'll talk later about my sugar-free Italian ice. Christi and I have been doing dairy-free vegan ice cream for 3.5 years. All these were products that hadn't been invented yet, but the machine could already do it. So it's quite unique.
So on the gelato setting, and just turning down the IOC that I did for your overrun, so the overrun is your air content. So 100% overrun is the max by law that you can have. So if you put in, 5 quarts of mix, you're gonna get 10 quarts of product back out. That's your 100% overrun. So from there, when you slow your speed down, because your dasher's not going super fast and incorporating a whole lot of air, we put in 3.5 quarts of mix in, we're probably gonna get 4.5, maybe 5 quarts of product back out. That's why you'll see at a gelato shop being a lot more expensive than a homemade mom and pop ice cream store, because they're doubling their product whenever they put it in versus a gelato, they're not getting much back out. It's a very thick, it's a very heavy, and it's a very rich type of ice cream. And it's supposed to be lower in fat, but higher in sugar.
Any questions? Everybody, oh, there you go.
Where do your recipes come from?
I come up with them. Some are from family recipes, so if you have like a favorite dessert, take that, turn that into an ice cream. All you really have to do is add the dairy mix. You could pre-make your lemon poppy seed cake, and then freeze it up, cut it up really well, and just shove it in the machine. It's going to mix very well. Same thing with cookies. This, I know you can make coffee ice cream. Let's throw some cold brew in there and the espresso chips. Why not? So it's really just coming up with flavors and going in the supermarket and shopping around and looking at something that's interesting and going from there.
Also, a good place to start. On the easel over there are 2 books for sale. One is Christie's book, which has, I guess, old Emery Thompson history. Oh, okay.
Go ahead, continue.
No, go ahead.
That's exactly what Jeff was talking about, and that's got all Christie's recipes in it. This is just out, and it's got all sorts of stories about Emery Thompson that I have told throughout the years. I got some from my grandfather, some from my father and my uncle, and they're all in a hardbound book. Volume 2, when it comes out, is going to have even more stories about Emery Thompson, but they're going to be the ones that, we couldn't tell until most everybody in the family was gone because they're a little raucous. But there's great formulas, and they're all broken down into the size of the machines. 3 quarts, 6, 12, 24, 44. It gives you the recipe right there. So you can call here and find out about that. Also, Jeff has a book out that you can do an entire store on. You just take Jeff's recipes. When you watch Jeff make ice cream, it would appear to be a little bit of this and a little bit of that and maybe some of that. Well, he condensed down a little bit of this and a little bit of that all into a book, and you can contact Jeff at, we'll put up
Right over there.
You have the book here? Yes, of course.
Over
Let
here
me show you.
stealing books and stuff.
Be right back. Mystic Ice Cream Original Recipes. And with this book, like I said, you can do an entire ice cream store with this. The recipes are perfect. They're really, really great. And a lot of people have been very successful because of Jeff and this book. So between the 2 books, you can never get enough knowledge. Anytime you can find knowledge. How about you tell about the knowledge that you got a couple of weeks ago? Van Leeuwen's up in New York made a special ice cream, and you copied it.
Yeah, ranch ice cream.
Wait till you hear this.
Everybody
one.
hear that fad, right? That was
Jeff,
going around, how they made that ranch ice cream. Well, why not? I was kind of curious. Surely ranch ice cream is going to be awful, and it definitely was. I did make it. I don't know if I have the little pint in there or not. I'll have to look, but you're more than welcome to try it. If you were to stick a bottle of Hidden Valley ranch dressing in the freezer, that is exactly what it would taste like.
It was awful. It was absolutely awful. And I'm really proud of her for that, because I've been known for making just horrendous ice creams.
Whoa. I purposely do it. That's a difference. There's a difference.
Yeah, that's true. But it was so bad, they even had it featured on the 5 on the Fox channel. And everybody there tried it, and everybody all agreed it was terrible. Yes,
it made great content.
But sometimes you do something just for advertising and for fun.
Yep.
My Sharknado ice cream was that way, and we used little candy corn for the teeth. Shark have lots of teeth, and I made a cherry Italian ice. It was great when we tasted it. It was Halloween, so that's where I came up with the little shark's teeth. 2 weeks later, I start getting letters from Bridget Jones and Smith, or Thompson and Thompson and Thompson, law firms. My client broke his tooth on your ice cream, and we're going to sue you. So these things happen. You had a question back there.
I was just going to say, you're talking about flavors. I went to the museum, the ice cream museum in Chicago, and they had hot dog flavor.
Hot dog flavor,
mustard
yes.
on it and everything, and I did taste it.
I would try that. I would do that.
It tasted like a hot dog, but like a cold, mushy hot dog.
We have a customer in Texas, and the biggest selling flavor he has in his store, it's Texas, is dill pickle Italian ice. And Christi made it.
It was really good. I actually did that for no. That's Steve, because Steve doesn't like pickles. So you could go to YouTube and type in Emery Thompson dill pickle, and the video will pull up. We actually did an audience shot of everybody trying it all at the same time, and it was very good. But the kicker was, is we made, or my husband did, make a strip of bacon. So a half a piece of bacon went into each cup. So you had the pickle Italian ice and you had the half a piece of bacon in it. It was the bomb. I'm not gonna lie. It was very good. But I'm a pickle junkie. You're not, so of course you wouldn't like it.
It was clever marketing. By the way, Mickey Brown is Christi's husband, and Mickey Brown is our second engineer here. And when we take the tour, you'll meet Mickey today.
We're ready, by the way.
Okay, and go ahead.
Sorry to cut him off. So we're going to turn off the refrigeration, and so even though you think your product's done and it needs another 30 seconds to a minute, once you turn this off, so I've already turned it off, that compressor's still running. Go ahead and turn it off and let it run for another minute or two, because it's still super cold and it's still going to freeze. Now the compressor has shut off. This is what we were talking about out of a cutoff check. This is what we do. If we open, close, and it just plops clean down, that's when you know you're ready to pull it. But every chef is different, so you don't have to do it the way I do it, don't have to do it the way Jeff does it. You can pull it at your own preference. Now this is on the very, very slow gelato setting, so it's coming out very slow. Let's turn it up.
So that's allowing Christi to get it out even faster by turning up the speed after she's made it.
Can you hand me that one?
Yeah. Christi also found out that if you're running at a higher speed and then you want to fill pints, you just have to tap it slower. You don't have to buy a $3,000 separate cover that another company sells. You just slow down the drive, and now you can fill your pints right at the machine. What could be simpler? Yes?
You were saying the smaller machine doesn't make the homemade ice cream, it makes the premium ice cream. So what's the difference in the homemade versus the premium? Just the texture of it?
Okay, the difference between homemade and super premium is just the weight of the ice cream. The texture doesn't really change because that's the machine and the freezing process and the speed of it. But the super premium, it's like comparing Breyers to Haagen-Dazs. Haagen-Dazs is a heavier weight ice cream, and it's got its place. I helped put Haagen-Dazs into business. I worked with Reuben Madison, his mother, back in the Bronx. My father worked with Ben and Jerry. But it's the kind of ice cream that you pick at. You bring it home from the store, you take a bite, you have a little more of it at dinner. At 10:30 at night after your wife's gone to bed and has told you to stay away from the ice cream because you're going to get fat, you go and get some more ice cream. So we pick at Haagen-Dazs because it's so heavy. Breyers or homemade ice cream, we take a big old scoop and put it right into the bowl. So that was a pretty easy flavor to make too.
And you'll notice this one is a little bit thicker than what you had with the chocolate Baileys because it was run at a lower overrun. Everybody excited to try this one?
Yes.
The people from Dairy Mix, I just got to watch the dynamics of the class today. Because at this hour, 10 o'clock in the morning, everybody's excited to eat ice cream. So it's like, kids, we're going to get ice cream. By 1:30 in the afternoon, hey, let's make another batch. And then, oh, no, I can't take any more. And it will happen.
Well, you know, we change it up with cream ice and Italian ice.
Oh yeah, we do all
things
sorts
like
of
that.
stuff. Dairy free.
Yep.
We're going to make Italian ice today.
And a cream ice,
Yep.
which also has alcohol.
We're big on the alcohol today. I don't know why. I guess Easter's coming and we have Friday off, so we can recover from the long weekend.
Can you just do it after? Because I don't like coffee, but I'm gonna try it.
Sure. The hardest part about doing this is not licking your fingers.
How is that?
Oh, good.
What do you think? You're not a coffee drinker. Okay. Now
But
it's
I wanted to try it.
So how's that flavor? Would you do anything different to change this one?
Smaller chocolate chip. More vanilla.
More vanilla?
Could you put like mocha flavoring in?
You could do that.
No. And this is with the 10%, right? The okay.
I like that.
I dig it.
It's very good.
Should we take a?
Okay,
No.
time to go pack this.
I'm gonna try to taste that.
Jeff, can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
So my husband took your class back in January, and so since then we've been doing a little research while we're waiting on our store to open. And so we've been scoping out Emery Thompson shops, like ice cream shops in the area that have Emery Thompson. And here's what I've noticed. Some shops sell super smooth, creamy ice cream, and it's like really enjoyable for me. I know it's not all about me, but I'm just saying, like, it's a really good ice cream. Then I go to some other shops that same machine, using same, you know, essentially the same product to make the machine, and the ice cream is not so smooth, or it's not so. Some of them aren't so sweet, but I know we can't.
Where do you live?
Here in the area, the Tampa Bay area. We live in Odessa, but we've been to shops like Newport Richey, Dade City, Ybor. Like we've been going all throughout the Tampa Bay area, just trying different Emery Thompson specifically used shops.
How was the ice cream that he made from my class?
He said it was excellent.
The smooth, creamy, okay.
Yeah, smooth.
Then you can answer.
It's not the machine. The machine doesn't have a brain.
That's what I figured.
It
So
can't
it's what
decide,
they're-
I'm gonna make good ice cream today and bad ice cream tomorrow.
But I guess what my question is it a dairy mix that they're using, or are they not running it long enough? Like, what is
Yeah,
their?
it's not the machine. Even if you don't run it long enough, it's still gonna be smooth and creamy. It's the ingredients they're using.